All right, really glad to welcome in Coach Mark Pope here to Rabaut Co on ESPN 680 1057. Coach, I'll start this a little bit differently. You've been introduced many times in interviews and different things as the coach at UK, and I'm sure people have asked you, are you used to that? How does that feel? I'm going to ask you a different question. Are you ready to start answering exit and those questions, actual personnel type questions? Because we all think the honeymoon's going to be the best part of the marriage, but really it's the day-to-day stuff that's much better.
Yeah, no, I mean, I love talking hoops, man. I can talk hoop for days. So that part's really fun. And what's great is, I mean, there's no more knowledgeable fan base than here at the University of Kentucky. Our fans care. They grow up on this game. They know the history of this game. And so, I'm excited for the conversations ahead, and it's one of the beautiful parts about being the head coach at the University of Kentucky.
I think it's an underrated fact that you've spent, frankly, the last 15 years or so living in Utah since 2011, right, as an assistant at BYU, and you make the move.
Long time.
Yeah, a long time, and you do make the decision. And look, people forget you've got kids, you've got a family. This is a big move in the middle of your life to move to Kentucky. When you get that job offer, or start the conversation at least with Mitch Barnhart, who did you call to say, hey, should I even do this? Do I have a good situation at BYU? Or did you not have to think about it? Was the UK job like, oh, yeah, I'm doing it?
Well, I had an unbelievable situation at BYU.
Yeah.
It's a place that we had lived for a long time. It's a beautiful area. It's an incredible school. It's a great program. I was working with great people. We had a preseason top 25 team coming back again. We had just moved into the Big 12 and had a great season. The program was established. Like, we were humming. It was so good. Like, anybody that gets a chance to coach at BYU should consider themselves really blessed. And so when Mitch called me about the job, I said yes before he even asked if I was interested, because there is no place like the University of Kentucky. This is it, man. This is the ultimate. It's the ultimate as a player. If you get a chance to play here, I say this all the time. If you go anywhere else in the country to play, you're going to spend some time in the back of your mind wondering what it would be like to play at the University of Kentucky. But if you came and played at the University of Kentucky, you spend 0 seconds ever wondering what it would be like to play somewhere else. And I'm saying the same thing as a coach, man. If you get a chance to coach at the University of Kentucky, you never spend 1 second the rest of your life wondering what it would be like to coach somewhere else, because this is it. And so it took me minus 0 seconds to tell Mitch that I was 100% in.
Coach Mark Pope with us from Kentucky men's basketball. Obviously, you mentioned BYU. And look, a place like BYU, its central mission, its central focus is very obvious. Heck, they named the place after Brigham Young, right? And so Kentucky, look, as a university, it's different. It pulls kids from, frankly, not just different parts of Kentucky, all over the world. But Kentucky basketball itself, does it have that in common with BYU, where the central mission is obvious? You talked about it in your opening presser at Rupp Arena. It's about banners. Is there a central mission with Kentucky basketball like there was at BYU?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Kentucky basketball is a flagship program for all of college basketball. It is the leading voice and the leading program on all college basketball. It carries a legacy that's unprecedented, and it's got a responsibility to this game to be great and to lead out. And so it definitely, in every sense of the word, it has a mission, and the standard is higher than anywhere else also. And I'm fully aware of that. The standard here is to come, win championships, and hang banners. That's the expectation, and that's the standard we set for ourselves, and that's set for us by those that came before us, the great coaches and players that have come here before. And to have that type of pressure and that type of responsibility is a real honor, and it's not something we take lightly. It's not something we say lightly. We understand how daunting a task that is and what a great challenge that is, and everybody associated with this program can't wait to take it on, and we're chasing it hard right now, and we think about it every day, and we're focused on getting better every day with somewhere in the back of our minds this real understanding of what we're trying to achieve here.
You mentioned, in the previous segment about BYU having a top 25 team. Obviously, things were going in the right direction at BYU. And how much, Coach, do you expect then? And you mentioned, look, the standard at UK is higher than it is at frankly, anywhere else. How much of what you've done to this point at a BYU, at a Utah Valley, wherever it might be, do you expect to translate to UK? In other words, with the type of guys you can get at UK, the competition level of the SEC nowadays, my goodness, what a time to be walking into this conference. How much do you think your style is going to translate to UK? Are you having to make adjustments? What's been your experience so far?
Yeah, it's interesting. So I think a lot of it translates. I think some of the things that translates that are exciting to me is I've had an unbelievable education in coaching from before I became a coach, working with some of the great coaches, playing for some of the great coaches, being around some of the great coaches to ever coach this game. And then our evolution as a staff and my evolution as a coach over the last 15 years, I think will serve us really, really well. I think we've been pushing the envelope for the last several years on the way the game is played, almost trying to lead out in terms of being on the forefront of that. And there are always modifications. If you stay the same, then you're going to fall behind in this game. And so we're always trying to push the envelope. So we'll take all that experience with us and try and bring in the greatness that is the University of Kentucky and this really, really exciting roster that we've had a chance to put together and mix them up in a brilliant stew, and hopefully it comes out right.
You mentioned the brilliant stew. According to the email I got from your athletic program, you were in practice leading into this interview. What have you seen in practice so far? And look, this is uncharted territory for you for sure. You're bringing in a completely new team. You had one guy in Jackson Robinson on your team last year, but you are really putting together new pieces that way. Has anything caught you off guard? Has anything surprised you so far in practice?
Yeah, it's fun. It's actually this incredible experiment because we have 0 players that have worn a Kentucky jersey before, and we have 0 players that have played with one another before, and we have 1 player that's played for me at a different university before. So, that's been priority number 1 is for us to get to know each other on the court and off the court and really build some, not just know each other, but build some capital, like serve each other. Like we're really trying to serve each other so we can know each other and trust each other enough to go through this gauntlet that we're about to go through over the course of the season. One of the fortunate things, we have a lot of veteran players on this roster, guys that we hand selected to be here out of the portal. And one of the nice things about portal guys is that you have so much film and so much video of them, elite level college basketball, where you get to understand how they see the game and think the game. And because we play a little bit of a style of play that's pushing the edges, it's maybe sometimes easier to identify the guys that specifically fit what we do and how we do it, and we've been somewhat unsurprised in a pleasant way about the product we're seeing on the floor versus what we thought we were getting, which is really comforting. And what we're also realizing is we have so much work to do to learn each other and learn how we play, that it's a race against the clock that we're really excited about chasing.
Coach Mark Pope with us. He's the head coach of Kentucky men's basketball. Joins us here on ESPN 680 105.7. Let's say there's a radio guy in Louisville. I don't know. Maybe he hosts a show 10 to noon on the ESPN affiliate. And he asked the question, what are they doing hiring a guy with the resume that Mark Pope has, coming in from BYU, not a ton of tournament success, not a ton of conference titles and those sorts of things? What would you say to a radio host like that should give them confidence that you're going to be the guy the next 5, 10, 15 years?
One, I would say that's a great question. I mean, that's a real question. I've talked about this since the beginning. One of the interesting things about the University of Kentucky is if you look at the coaching landscape, you kind of ask yourself, who is qualified to take this job? And the answer is probably nobody. It's probably that coach out there that's won 5 consecutive national championships and probably a couple world championships. That's maybe the guy that we would think is qualified for this job. It's the biggest job in all of college basketball. And so certainly I don't have that resume at all. And so what we're left with is we get a chance at this to come do this, and we're really good at what we do. I think the way we approach this is really exciting. I think our fans are going to love it. I think we understand this place as well as anybody possibly could, which is a really big part of this job. And we have a chance to go prove it. That's really the ultimate answer. Is like, we have this incredible opportunity. Now we got to go prove it. We got to go prove it in how we carry ourselves, how we serve this community in the state of Lexington and BBN.